Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So with Module 27, Boons will be getting updated. In particular, you'll be able to have multiple advanced boons, also known as Tier 5 boons, more than just the two you could normally have. You can have 3, 4, 5, you can have all of them. It's just going to cost you a lot more. We'll cover the exact costs in this video, along with the fact that you're now going to be able to have more than one Master Boon. Again, costing you more the more you want to get. Additionally, these boons have been updated to be a bit different and to actually work and be a lot more effective. For example, these first two boons here are when you get a kill, you would gain these stats or the chance. And it's been changed so that when you also obtain a big hit, like 50% of your hit points or more, you will also obtain that. So it can be somewhat viable in a trial. One of them gives you offensive stats, combat advantage, power, and crit severity, up to 6% of each. And the other one gives you defensive stats of defense, crit avoidance, and then some shield, some temporary hit points. It's a orange shield, so I believe it should stack with others, but I have not actually tested that. But ultimately, again, gives you 6% of those stats at max rank. Bloodlust, being changed up a bit, so it's now going to make the target take increased damage from you. It has a 10% chance to do that when you use an encounter power. That 1% can go to 3% when you have this at max. And you'll also deal an additional hit, along with regenerating a teeny bit of action points. Then there's also Focused Retaliation, which is now a 20% chance on encounter use to give you some defensive stats. 6% control resistance at max, 6% deflect, and 6% deflect severity. Very good on a paladin in combination with Binding Oath. Then there's Life Lessons. 10% of chance on an at-will to deal some extra damage. And this gets increased the more ranks you have of it, and also giving you some hit points back over time. That's not really much of an effect, but it's mainly the damage here, which actually makes this for damage dealer the best master boon to go for. Then we have Enhanced Application, 5% chance when you use your at-wills to give yourself a heal, and also reduce the next hit you take of up to 10% per rank. This can be pretty massive if a tank can get this off before, let's say, a tank buster. In some cases you can. And otherwise, the two healer boons, Blessed Advantage and Blessed Resilience. Advantage giving you some offensive capabilities like heal over time, some extra power, and some recharge speed up to 15%. And Resilience giving you some defense, maximum hit points, and healing a bit of your stamina. Now these have been changed to actually work where when you have the boon, you should be able to increase the likelihood that whenever you're healed, that you gain the effect of this boon. Unfortunately, it's currently bugged, and we'll cover that right here when I go over my tests of these boons and whether they actually work the way they say they do. We got our base damage there, and then we got the test with Bloodlust, and that seems to be working just as intended, giving you the increased damage and also dealing the additional hit of 120 magnitude plus 10 magnitude per rank. Life Lessons seems to work okay, except the critical chance seems to be way off. Like Life Lessons right here, over 4 minutes and it didn't crit at all. Then I go like to my rogue with Duelist Flurry, and we did get some crit chance. We got 37% of the time it was critically hitting. Down here, 19% of the time it was critically hitting, and this is with no change to my stats. Really weird. I'm not sure what's up with that. It seems to carry over similar critical hit bugs that you have with like Poisoned on the Rogue, which we've had with Poisoned Thorn. It's all a bit weird, but nonetheless, Life Lessons is still a massive amount of damage, especially on classes that use their at-wills a lot. And compared to Bloodlust, it actually deals even more damage. Not to say you don't want both of them though, but I would prioritize Life Lessons first and then Bloodlust. Then Death's Bulwark and Deathly Rage both seem to work fine, giving you the boost in stats. You can see the size of the shield there and getting the offensive stats. I don't see them as all too useful. Perhaps you can take Death's Bulwark in AoE as a DPS to give you some extra defense and crit avoidance when you get a kill, but usually by the time you're getting a kill, everything's dead and you're moving on to the next group out of combat, and there's a little bit of time in between, so not very effective. Definitely not a priority, and I wouldn't really take any of those in a healer or a tank. Focused Retaliation very good for tanks. Again, you could also use it on a DPS, but it's giving deflect and deflect severity, not something you can rely on, and control resistance most of the time doesn't even do anything. Enhanced application does seem to heal. At max rank, it's healing you for 6% of your maximum hit points over 10 seconds. So that's a 0.6% heal per second. You can see that with the math there. And it will give you that 3% max hit point heal at the beginning when you trigger this. And then also giving you the 30% reduction on the next attack you take when you have this on max rank, which is pretty good. And they all seem to work there, the effects. Then we move to Blessed Advantage and Blessed Resilience, and they seem to be a little bit bugged. Basically, that 10% chance when you are healed to give yourself the effects does not quite work. The effects do work. You can see the increase to our recharge speed and power, and I've tested the heal over time works as well. And with Blessed Resilience, it seems to work as well, giving you the defense, maximum hit points, and healing a bit of your stamina. It's just that effect where it's supposed to be able to be triggered on yourself by somebody else when you have the boon and not that person is not working. Basically, what is happening is if I have the boon on me slotted, and whenever a healer heals me, they have a 10% chance to gain those bonuses, not to give me the bonuses. If you are the healer and you heal people while you have the boon, yes, you can have that 10% chance to give them the bonuses. That works, just not the other way around, where the description leads you to believe it should. Now, additionally, there's most likely a bug with these, that they will actually stack. You can have multiple cases of these. You can probably have up to times 10 of these effects on you, which is a bit crazy. Consider Blessed Advantage. You can see I was getting double the effect there. The recharge speed up to 30% increase. You can get it to times 3. This was just me testing by myself. You can probably get times 10, which means, yeah, plus 150% recharge speed, which would just be freaking nuts. You're basically more than halving the cooldowns on all your encounter powers. Imagine that. That'd be pretty juicy. But again, the only real person who can get that is the healer, as long as everybody else in the party has this boon. But I don't assume this is going to stay like this. It's most likely going to get fixed and made so that, yeah, it's not going to stack with itself, and additionally then have it fixed so it's going to be able to give you the benefit of the boon rather than somebody else when you have this boon and you get healed. That way it would become a much more reliable source of that recharge speed. Most cases you do not want to rely on this for the power. Heal over time is nice, and the recharge speed in particular is great. And for a tank, Blessed Resilience for the stamina heal is lovely, along with the maximum hit points. The defense, I tend to rely on it a bit as well, especially because you're getting healed quite a lot, and 6% defense is not that bad to miss on your build, and you can just leave that room for whenever you get this. Now, in terms of what boons then will you want to be getting as a damage dealer next mod, how many boon points would you ideally then have? Well, that will depend on the cost, because if I want, let's say, 3 of these advanced boons, it's going to cost me extra boon points to get that third one. If I want a 4th, it's going to cost me even more. If I want a 2nd master boon, it's going to cost me a bunch of boon points. If I want a 3rd, even more. What are those costs? Well, they are all right here. This is the amount of boon points it costs you to gain like your 1st and 2nd advanced boons. It's the same, just 4. To get your 3rd, it's 8. To get your 4th, 12. To get your 5th, 16. For your master boons, to get your 1st, you need 60 boon points spent. But then it kind of costs nothing, right? So you have to have 60 boon points spent on other boons, then you can have your 1st one. But it's free of charge. You don't need those like 3 boon points to slot in there. The 2nd boon point, you need to spend 6. The 3rd, 9. 4th, you need 12. And for your 5th, you'd need 15. So it gets pretty expensive. And if you're a damage dealer, I would recommend going for these boon points in pretty much this order. Although you will have to shake things up a bit. You'll have to get like 1 power, then the critical strike one in order to progress to the next tier like normal. Just try and get these boon points early on, and as soon as you get those 60 boon points spent, you unlock your 1st master boon, which I recommend getting Life Lessons. Then I recommend getting Bloodlust with 6 more boon points. Then go for the Forte, recharge speed and action point gain. Then get that Blessed Advantage. Again, it should get fixed, so it should be able to trigger on yourself, but even if it doesn't, it's still pretty useful if it stacks to give to the healer in its current state. And otherwise, make sure you're getting like the damage resistance against dinosaurs. I've delayed this one because there's no real tough content with dinosaurs really. Otherwise, pick up those defensive and lingering boons. They can be pretty nice. The lingering boons are the ones which increase the effectiveness of your healing potions, so you can use healing potions instead of health stones to much better effect. Without getting like the defense and lingering ones, that would be 96 boons, which you should be able to get. At this point, we're going to be able to get over 100 boons with all the campaigns and adventures. Again, I do not recommend rushing those. Take your time. It's not the end of the world to miss these. Life Lessons has gotten to the point where it's gonna deal a lot of damage, probably around 2-3% depending on class, but I wouldn't spend a ton to get like buyouts and things. For healers, this is what I would go with. Again, just getting those boon points to get the 60, then get Blessed Advantage, get your outgoing healing, get the Blessed Resilience, Forte action point gain, and the recharge speed. You're getting a lot of those advanced boons. Since there's not a lot of great ones for a healer, we're getting like all the lingering ones here as well, because why not? We can also just run with the healing potions. Then you can run with the rejuvenation potion plus like your shared healing potion bonus boon, which will then also allow you to trigger these effects on other players if they have them, so that can be quite a nice synergy. Then for tanks, they need an awful lot of boons. There's a lot of decent options you can take. You want to be taking all those defensive stats, the hit points, movement speed, the resistance against enemy types, focused retaliation, enhanced application, stamina, forte, recharge, action point gain, incoming healing, and like blessed resiliences as well. Additionally, you could get blessed advantage. There's just so many that are actually pretty decent for a tank to take. At this point, we can't even get 124 boons, but this is what I would go for. You can probably put aside the action point gain, probably put aside the recharge speed, and maybe prioritize blessed resilience when it gets fixed, because again, right now it's not working to trigger on yourself when you have the boon. When somebody heals you, you're just going to give them the benefit instead, and it has that weird stacking effect as well, which will probably get fixed. So yeah, right now you can end up with 150% recharge speed, which is pretty nuts if you were to get that effect triggered from all the other players in your group. But that's everything for this video. Hopefully it's been somewhat insightful for you guys. Most of those boons do work. Life Lessons, despite having a crit issue, will still be very good. So we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.